According to the Centers of Disease Control, in 2018, suicide was the second leading cause of death among people between the ages of 10 and 34 and claimed over 48,000 lives. Now, I would just like for you to take a moment to imagine yourself sitting in a class and learning vital information that could save you or a loved one's life. You would not think that the class would be about suicide. Today, I'm going to educate you about the benefits of suicide prevention classes being taught in schools. Now, these classes could help students understand and manage their own suicidal thoughts, recognize signs of suicide among their friends and family, and overall reduce the suicide rate. Getting an idea about the benefits of suicide prevention classes could positively impact your children's lives and future generations. Now, I will elaborate further on what exactly this means. First, suicide prevention classes could help students gain the knowledge they need to understand and manage their own suicidal thoughts. Well, what is suicide? According to the Webster's Dictionary, suicide means the act of putting oneself to death. This is a harsh statement, but with preventative classes being taught at an early age, people will become better equipped with the knowledge of handling their mental well-being. For example, there was a study done in Ohio in 2020 focusing on the early exposure of emotional regulation for children. The results of the study show that early emotion regulation education decreases the likelihood of future suicidal tendencies. The lead author of the Ohio study, Dr. Ariel Sheftal, stated that teaching kids to understand the emotions they're facing so they can regulate them effectively could be extremely helpful. Dr. Sheftal claims that classes such as these are beneficial for managing emotions, such as suicidal feelings. For the second point, suicide prevention classes could help students recognize the signs of suicide among their friends and family. The signs could appear from the words, the feelings, and behaviors of people. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, some signs are talking about being a burden on others, feeling extremely empty or full of rage, withdrawing from others, and starting to abuse drugs or alcohol. Such classes will allow students to learn and emotionally understand their loved ones better in order to help them seek the treatment that they need. In 2018, New York was actually the first state that required mental health education for students. And this has created a huge support system for students and allowed them to help their loved ones get the treatment that they need. Nancy Burrell, a teacher of 23 years, stated that she welcomes the fact that mental health awareness is finally becoming an important part of schools' function and curriculum. Nancy also noted how she has seen some of her students struggle before entering a mental health awareness class, and she's seen the improvements of these students in relationships among their peers after taking the class. Lastly, suicide prevention classes help reduce the ever-growing suicide rate. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, every year 1 in 100,000 children aged 10 to 14 commit suicide, 7 in 100,000 youth aged 15 and 19 commit suicide, and at almost 13 in 100,000 young adults ages 20 to 24 commit suicide. 100,000 may not seem like a huge deal, but just imagine the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. This is rough, if not more, 100,000 people. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Centers of Disease Control released a photo in 2018 to explain those numbers better. From this, you can see that this is the total number of people that have committed suicide in 2018, and that suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Allowing students to take suicide prevention classes could eventually lead to those statistics and data declining in numbers. This could be achieved. Currently, there are 23 states within the United States that require suicide prevention as part of their school's curriculum. In a 1985 published book, Definition of Suicide, the author Edwin Schneidman, who was also a clinical psychologist, stated that the primary prevention of suicide lies in education. The prevention of suicide is everybody's business. Edwin understood that even over 35 years ago, education regarding suicide prevention could be beneficial for individuals and society. Today, I briefly informed you about the benefits of schools teaching suicide prevention classes. The benefits are that students will be better mentally prepared to handle their suicidal thoughts, emotionally understand the signs of suicide among their family and peers, and socially reduce the suicide rate by saving lives. Now, as I close, with the information that was presented, the once taboo class you had to sit through could open more educational opportunities to create a better understanding of suicide.